What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of TBC Tech. Now, what do we got on the board for today? Well, the Workstation. She's getting a little long in the tooth. She's running a 6700K with, 32 gig of RAM and a couple of hard drives. In 2020, that 6700K isn't quite cutting it as a workstation. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna change out the board, we're gonna change out the processor, we're gonna keep the graphics card. I'm running the 1080 Aero from MSI right now. We're gonna go ahead and hang on to that because as far as I'm concerned, the 1080 is plenty good for what I would use it for. But we're gonna upgrade the hard drive. We're gonna do a 500 gig NVMe. We are going to upgrade the processor, Ryzen 3700X. We're going to upgrade the board. I'm actually going with an X470 board because it was a little cheaper, and as far as what I was needing, that's really as far as I need to go. But yeah, let's get this thing torn down and let's get to work. Okay, so first things first, let's get our lovely processor opened here. Now, truth be told, this is more of my own personal preference than anything, but this is actually the first processor I've ever bought brand new. Now, that's just me. I have a tendency of buying used hardware just because dollars to performance, if you can pick something up, especially from a reputable seller, there's really no reason not to actually buy used parts. I will always recommend, if you can, to get used parts. But at the same time, it's always nice to open new stuff, and I'm gonna enjoy this. Oh, it smells new. Now, if there's any questions as to why I went with the 3700X, it's, well, because I wanted to, honestly. 8 cores, 16 threads. Honestly, I don't even remember what the base clock is on this guy. Hold on. This bad boy's got a 3.6 base and a 4.4 boost. So, can't really go wrong with that. Now, we got this awesome Wraith cooler. We might actually come back to the air cooler, but I've got a, actually, I don't even remember what the hell it is. It's a Hydro series from Corsair. It's the H75. It's a 120 mil red. Now, this isn't the best water cooler. I'm really just using it because it's already installed, and I don't really feel like spending another $200 on a water cooler right now. So it'll do fine. And that's one of those things that whenever we're benchmarking, if the thermals get out of control, we'll just upgrade it. Built-in content, hey! Now, for that hard drive upgrade I was talking about, we've got a WD Black NVMe. Like I said, it's 500 gig. Now, the reason I went with this was because it was on special at the time. I picked it up for like 76 bucks. But I've always had good dealings with Western Digital. I've had plenty of their hard drives over the years, and I've really had no complaints. So whenever I had an opportunity to pick this up on sale, I jumped on it. If you get the same opportunity, I highly recommend it. And to be honest, other than secondary parts, again, this is the first time, I don't want to say it's the first time because my last build that I did had an NVMe in it, but it's the first one I'll have built with an NVMe. Okay, so we're just gonna jump in here. We're gonna start taking stuff apart. Got our 1080. Now this build already has a 1000 watt power supply that I picked up from Corsair. That's just gonna go ahead and stay in there for right now. Really, I mean, it's 1000 watt. I really don't have a reason to upgrade it. Bust out our handy dandy toolkit. Now, the reason I'm gonna stick with the 1080 is because, to be honest, I don't do a ton of gaming. And as far as processing power, for the videos and all the other stuff that I do as far as Workstation is concerned, I really haven't had any issue to upgrade with this. But with the processor, that's definitely been an issue. That 4 core just, she not cutting it no more. No, I know I popped on it, so no, why isn't it not releasing me? Oh, because there's a third screw, that's why. Hey! Now let's see if I can get the damn card out of here. That's one thing. Like, I'm keeping this case. I don't remember who makes this case in particular. It's nothing fancy. And I really liked it at the time because of the airflow, but this thing is such a pain in the ass to work in. Like you can see, like I don't have the clearance I need to get the card out. Like I'm thinking I might even have to just, because I don't want to twist it anymore. And it is just fighting me tooth and fucking nail right now. There we go. We got her. Bent the lip on it a little bit though, but she'll be all right. All right, so let's go ahead. We'll unseat the RAM here. Get this out of the way. One less thing we'll have to worry about later. Now, as far as the hard drives are concerned, we're gonna run 4 hard drives. We're gonna have a boot disk, which will be the NVMe. We're gonna have a scratch disk, which will be a 1 terabyte Barracuda. We're gonna have a 3 terabyte for completed projects, and then we're going to have a 6 terabyte archive backup. Now, as far as that goes, that should be plenty, but we'll see how that goes. Okay, got all our extra doodads and hooky jiggers, but don't want to let go now. I don't think I've had to take anything out of this case. Oh, that's why that was like that. It was the front I/O cables. I wondered why they were holding on for dear frickin' life. There we go. All right, let's get that 24-pin ATX cable out of there. Now, as far as the motherboard is concerned, like I said, I went with an X470. It is actually another ROG board. It is the Asus ROG. Actually, you know what? Let me look that up. Because, again, I picked it up for a good price. I got it for $169.99.
Information I should have had already booted up.
It is the Crosshair 7 Hero that I picked up. Now, I've always liked ROG boards. I love the fact that all the little bells and whistles that the ROG boards have are always fun. Built-in LCD trouble codes, better overclocking. I just really like these boards. As far as this one's concerned, I have never had an issue with it. So I really had no reason not to upgrade. This is a Maximus, what the hell is it? Maximus some Roman numeral hero. I'll be honest, I don't know. I think it's the Maximus, no, it's not an 8. Maximus 9, that's what it is. Taking out all the little screw whips. I love how everything in a case has a screw to start with, but by the time you have to do something like this, it's like, why isn't there no screw there? Why is there no screw here? And it's just stuff that's disappeared over the years. It's like, oh, okay. Now what I'd really like to do is to be able to take this board out without having to disassemble this cooler entirely.
Not gonna happen! No, not gonna happen!
Because as much as I like Corsair stuff, and they might have redesigned this, it's kind of finicky. Now what I'm really curious about is whenever I put this H75 onto this chipset, I didn't get the best performance out of it. I had looked on forums and I'd looked online, and it seemed like it was capable of fairly decent cooling. But with this one, it never seemed like the Intel set fit correctly. I'd made modifications, I'd added spacers, but it never felt like it made a good seat against the CPU. So I'm curious if I'm going to get better performance with an AM4 socket versus 1151. So we'll find out together, because you're my friends. Here, let's get on these big chunky boys off the board. Just so we can get some of these cables loosened up, so that way we can completely get the board out of here. Cable management getting in my way. That's what happens whenever you actually do a good job with something. You go to take it apart and it's like, why won't it come apart? Maybe because you put it together correctly the first time? How dare I do that thing? All right, so we got our little loopy hook out of there. Okay, so that means we can move that out of the way now. And with any luck, oh my God, of course. Now this is my #1 problem with this case, is the where they put the damn CPU board interface power cable. It's way up in the tiny corner. And the way I've got this set up is I've got two 240 fans here, and then I've got this big rad right here. So the cable's way down under here where you cannot reach it ever, unless you completely disassemble it. And I would really rather not do that. But with any luck, I should be able. No, I'm not. Because I already remember, there's a screw up in that corner too. Which you would think, if I was a smart person, I'd have never put in there in the first place. Because, as we've discussed, I am not above not putting screws back. Okay, so. Yep, because the screw's on the other side of the damn cable. Yay! So the question is, do we take the top fan out or do we take the rad off? I almost feel like, because if I take the fan off, I'm gonna have to remove the top of the case and then move that to the side, then take the fan off. Whereas if I just pull the rad out, I can just pull the whole cooler out and it'll probably save me some headache later on. So I think that's what I'm gonna do, is I'm just gonna go ahead and bite the bullet and just take the rad out. I don't like that idea, but right now, it seems like it's the best idea. I say that knowing that odds are it will backfire. And don't mind the dust because, well, like I said, it's been sitting. It's my workhorse. It's been doing its job. I'm actually surprised I haven't had to upgrade this. And I don't even know why I have to upgrade it now, because the 6700K always did an excellent job as far as the video editing that I needed to do. But then lately it just started chugging and skipping and doing all this nonsense. And I was like, listen, you are too old to be giving me these many problems. I'll just go get a new CPU. All right. Woo, that's nasty. Look at that. That's how you know you've got 3 years of dirt in your system. All right, and then that can come out of there. Look, the fan's just bad. Maybe that's why I've had bad thermals. No, that's not the reason, but it's still funny. Did I mention that I'm kind of allergic to dust? Then why don't you take better care of your stuff? Why don't you shut up? All right, now she's looking pretty good. Surprisingly, the internal fan doesn't look bad at all. All right, we'll just sit that over yonder for right now. All right, so let's see. Can I get a hold of that damn cable? I can, but just barely. Come on, release me, demon. I'm just gonna have to take that fucking screw off. Now let's see if I remember to put the cable in before I put the screws in this time. Whenever I put the new board in. I win. So now we just lift this board. And as you can see with this case, I know it's kind of hard to see, but you see the board goes right up to the shroud and it goes right up to the fans. And this shroud is not removable for some reason. Oh, guess I still had some cables plugged in I forgot about. Come on, let go. Come on. Let me go! I'm trying real hard not to bend shit, but this thing just, there we go. And then these damn cables are, I'll show you here in a second. They just won't fucking let go. There it goes. Oh, another cable. That's one thing. With the way the VRMs are set up on here, it has this little tiny space for the EATX power supply. And it's ridiculous. There's no reason for it to be so small, especially because most of this is just plastic. But yeah, as you can see, our Maximus board with our 6700K. It has served me well, and odds are it will serve somebody else well, because I have a younger brother, and anybody that knows anything about the hierarchy of brothers, The younger one gets the old stuff. All right, so let's take a look at this new motherboard. Got our SATA cables. Got our NVMe screws. Indescript white box, because that's what cheap people get, nondescript white boxes. Listen, I was excited whenever it came with SATA cables. I was like, no shit! Ooh. It's a nice. So, as you can see, we have our lovely motherboard here. Our Crosshair 7 Hero power button. We have our LED trouble code, much like the other board. Honestly, it's not too different. I actually prefer that though, so you won't hear me complain too much. Okay, so let's see how well this thing fits in here. Because, well, I'm hoping it just kind of lays right in, goes right where it should, but I have a feeling I'm gonna have to do some cable rerouting. Just looking at the way the board's set up. Can't pull that out of that way. Come on, get up here. Like a glove. Look at that. Fits perfectly. It is so nice and easy to put in, and honestly looks very, very similar to my other board. So, aesthetics wise, good call. Okay, so let's go ahead and start dropping these screws back in. Because what we're gonna do is we're gonna drop a couple of screws back in. I'm actually gonna get my original SSD hooked up and make sure everything boots up once we get the processor put in. Because I really don't wanna get all the way through this process and then realize, oops, something doesn't work. One thing about this board that I forgot is the IIO shield is actually built to the board. So I gotta take off the old one first. Oopsie. I was like, why the hell is it not working? I have the IO shield on. Hey, stupid, you didn't take the other one off first. So what we'll do is we'll just throw one or two in just to keep the board from sliding around. We'll get it some power, we'll get it hooked up to a monitor, and we'll do some testing. As always, you gotta line up your little triangle. If I can get it to focus here real quick. It's real tiny, but it's right there. Drop it right down in. Make sure she's in the socket, and drop the arm. Boom. Okay, so now one thing that I've noticed about the new AMD boards is that they have a secondary 4-pin CPU power. Now, according to what I've read online, you don't necessarily need the extra 4-pin power. However, we're gonna plug it in just in the off chance that it would need it, it's there. Besides, I have a 1000-watt power supply. Why not use the cable if I've got it, you know? Okay guys, so in the meantime, I went ahead and tried to hook up the power switch so that way we make booting a little easier. Yeah, I know it's got an onboard power switch, but it doesn't hurt. So let's give this thing a shot, see if we can get a post. I think we've got it. And we have post. All right, so that's a good sign. So that means nothing's broken. And up till now, I've hooked everything up correctly. Thumbs up for this guy. Okay, so now that we've got a post going on, we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna rewire everything, get this thing put together, and see what we got cooking. Got that drive mounted. Let's drop that guy in there. Tighten those up. Now I know what you might be thinking. You might be thinking, well, that's a lot of drives in a very enclosed area. Well, I'll show you whenever we flip it over and we finish up the inside. There's actually a fan that is blowing right into the inside of the shroud to keep all of this cool. That, again, I don't like the majority of the design of this case, but it's got great airflow. It's one saving grace. And it kind of looks cool. And with all that powered, we should be able to flip this guy back around. Okay. Yeah, oakley dokley. we're gonna do is we're gonna make sure that we pull these through here. Enough so that we can plug them in without any issues. Okay. Go ahead and lay that down. And then what we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to remove the hard drive or the graphics card again to be able to get the SATA ports, because for some reason motherboard designers keep putting SATA port systems under the graphics card. Why?
Stop it.
And it's what's worse is the graphics card was the first thing I screwed down. Of course. What are you gonna do? Sorry I couldn't show you guys, but the way the cables fed themselves through and actually essentially pushed themselves into the board, I couldn't turn that up. Especially since my graphics card tried to do a barrel roll. Do a barrel roll! Now with any luck, this will be the last time I have to put this back in. Okay. Now let's get it tightened in again. And again, hopefully this will be the last time. I don't know what it is about this graphics card and this case. They do not like each other. And now for the part that I've been dreading the entire time. I dislike CPU coolers because they're always a pain in the butt. So, we're gonna be using the AM4 socket, so we're gonna have to figure out just how to install it. Okay, so what we gotta do is we gotta remove that. So, it shouldn't be too difficult. I can get that. There we go. Just gotta get that plastic ring off. And then this just kind of pops off here. Okay. And you just put that back on. Make sure it's set correctly so that your logo's lined up. Excellent. That one goes that way. Yeah. Now we're good. Now we're doing it. Now we're getting her. And then you just take your plastic retention ring and you just pop it back in there. I don't think there's anything to take it away. Specifically, pop that back on there just so long as it's locked on there. Okay, easy enough. Okay, so let's go ahead and we'll get this guy put down. All right, boys and girls. Let's hope she works. Okay. Well, we have one issue. I'm seeing that our SATA is connected and it's detecting 1, 2, and 4. For some reason, our 3 gig drive is not working currently. So we're gonna have to try and figure that out. But she is posting. Everything seems to be working out. I'm gonna run through, do some troubleshooting, see if we can get the SATA hooked back up correctly. Put a keyboard on it, and hopefully we'll be ready to go. Okay, it turned out to be a much easier solution than I had thought. Just one of the cables wasn't completely put all the way into the hard drive. So, with any luck, whenever we reboot this time, either we'll kick into the OS, or we'll be able to actually get into where we need to get to. It's doing something. I just got a splash screen. Oh! Gotta love it whenever Windows just decides to kick itself on. All right. It's so very nice when something finally comes together. Well, guys, this was a bit more of a headache than I thought it was going to be. I thought this was going to be a much shorter video than it was, especially for how more we upgraded. But to be fair, a CPU and board is probably the most important parts of your entire system. So the fact that it took us a little longer than it should have, completely understandable. But it's working. We've got a brand new system, 8-core, 16 threads. I'll get that NVMe put in. That way our boot drive's lightning fast. We got our setup for our hard drives now. We will have faster RAM now. We'll be running 32 gigs of 3000 megahertz Corsair Vengeance. And with any luck, I won't have to upgrade her again for a while. So with that, guys, thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you spending time with me. Like and subscribe for new videos. And I'll see you guys next time.